Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be talking to you all about college. If you do or don't know, I just finished my first semester in college, so I decided to tell you guys a few things that I learned, what I expected, what surprised me, just a random overall general semester of college. Overall, my first semester of college went really well. I did pretty decent in my classes. Getting all A's and B's. So I'm just going to talk about a few things that I noticed. Very, very important that you go to every class. Yes, in some circumstances you can't go, but if you are able to go to a class, go to a class. Like, I didn't really miss any classes. I missed a few yoga classes and only like 2 of my other classes because I was sick and had pink eye at the same time, and I really didn't want to spread it to anyone because first of all, that's just kind of rude. Like, why would you want to do that to someone? And honestly, going to class is a big part of it. I missed 1 class and I already did not know what's going on. It's very important to just go to your classes, even if your teacher's not taking your attendance. Your grade, I feel like your grade and your attendance in that class would be linked together, because first of all, you won't know what's going on, especially if it's a lecture class. Like, I had a few classes I took where the teacher would post notes on after the lecture, but it still is important to go to the lecture just so you get the stuff like run through your head and it can just sink into your brain more, because why not? Second thing I noticed is there's people who take school seriously and people who don't take school seriously. First of all, college is not cheap. There are so many expenses in college that I noticed a lot of people just don't take their classes seriously, and that could be skipping classes, not going to classes, just partying way too much, just not caring, or just not trying at all. It's just a waste, first of all, of money and your life. College is not supposed to be all fun. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be work. There's a point you're there, and you're there for college to get your degree. If you don't want to get a degree, why are you there? There's no point in being there. And that's something I noticed, that there's people who are just in college to just be in college and don't have any intentions of like focusing on getting a degree. And then there's people who actually are in college to get their degree because you're spending all this money and you need to get a career and you want to get paid to pay all that money off. It's just really frustrating as someone who actually works hard and tries, where you just see all these people who just don't care. The next thing is, if you are a freshman and living in the dorms, the walls are really thin. So if you're playing your music, I guarantee you the people next to you can hear it, because the people next to me playing music, I could hear it, and it was loud and it was thumping, like it was a thumping bass. I'm all for it, like having a good time and stuff, but I just think that's really inconsiderate, like to the people who are sleeping, trying to get their education, trying to get their money's worth. Like, I just see that as really inconsiderate. The next thing is partying. I'm going to talk a little bit about partying. I don't have a problem against partying. If you want to party, you party. I've partied before. I don't party like an excessive amount. I don't have a problem with partying at all, as long as it does not interfere with your school, because that is what you are going there to do. Just know that it's going to be everywhere around you. The other thing is, be aware, because the drinking age is 21. So if you are going to party in college, just be really careful where you're doing it, what you're doing, because then again, it is illegal, which I don't really know why, considering it's not in any other countries. Just be very careful and cautious. Be very cautious of what you're drinking, what you're taking, because nowadays there's so many synthetic and fake drugs. Personally, I don't take drugs or pills or any of that. I've never done any of that crazy stuff. I heard a lot of people dying from pills. Just know what you're taking or drinking and plan to stick with someone, because you never want to be left alone, especially at night. You always want to be with at least one or even a few other people is generally more ideal. Number 3 is, if you're doing any of these things, do not drive. That should be an obvious one. People should know by now to not drink and drive or take pills and drive. Main thing for partying is be safe. Those are just my tips. I'll probably do this in 2 parts because there's just college is such a big topic and there's so many different things that go into college. And another thing I noticed is in this generation, people are so antisocial and it's kind of sad. My dorm is off campus, so I have to take a shuttle to go to campus, and everyone's just on their phone with like their AirPods in. When you're walking on campus, if you don't have like AirPods or headphones in, like, you feel out of place. Like, one day my AirPods died and I felt so out of place with not having them in, and I'm just like, oh, which is really sad. But that's another thing to keep aware of. Really try to put yourself out there if you want to make friends. If you don't, then it doesn't really matter. But if you want to make friends, just try to put yourself out there. Another thing I learned is it is kind of hard to make friends in college if you don't party a lot, or if you're in a lot of lecture classes, because in the big lecture classes, not a lot of people, you're gonna have time to interact with a lot of people. But really, if you do either of those, take those opportunities to meet new people and try to connect, because if you're living by yourself, it can get very lonely. College, a lot of people are like, yay, college, I'm gonna have so much fun. It can get very lonely if you don't interact with other people. And you isolate yourself. It can be very lonely, and life in general can just be lonely. But I noticed that really try to push yourself out there, whether it's getting involved in a club, talking to people in your classes, talking to people you meet out, wherever. Put yourself out there, unless you're fine with it. Obviously, if you're fine with it, I'm a social person, so I get lonely really easily if I'm not surrounded by people. Another way is jobs. I have an on-campus job, and that's another opportunity for me to meet people. So there's lots of opportunities. You just really need to put yourself out there. I'm only going to touch on a few more topics because there's so many things in this category of college. Really feel independent. You have to provide to get a meal for yourself. Of course, I have like a meal plan and stuff, but you need to, you know, there's not someone coming to you, like serving you, making you breakfast. You need to go do it yourself. Another thing is keeping up with your classes, going to your classes. I know, like, in high school, like, if I wasn't feeling good, my mom was like, go to school, go to school. No one is pushing you. This is all up to you. All of the stuff you do is independent. That's a big thing, is there's so much independence in college, and that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. Really, that's a big thing, is the independent part. It's a really big shock to most people. And that leads me into the next section, is after my first semester of college, you notice how many people do not come back. And that can be due to many things. I'm not gonna like go over all of them because there's probably so many, but the majority of it's either being homesick or not doing well in classes or just don't liking the school. But obviously there's a lot of other reasons. But that's a big thing I noticed, is a lot of people after the first semester like drop out. So that's just like another thing to keep in mind. If you do like the college, just do put the work in and stuff so you don't have to do that. But yeah, those are just some of the things I've learned about college / like some tips after my first semester. Oh yeah, one more thing I want to touch on is classes. For me, I got all A's and B's in my classes, but they were mostly like classes I was required to take. They're not into my major yet, which is nursing. So I'm going to be taking more nursing related classes. But so far, like overall, my classes like were not that difficult. I showed up to class most of the time. I did the work. I studied for like a few tests. I didn't have that many tests. And overall, I did like pretty good. It wasn't like crazy hard, which is what like some people say it can be. And that it probably is once I get more into my major. But I'll keep you guys updated. I wasn't pulling my hair out and crying every night. That's just me personally. Everyone's different. But if this video helped you in any way, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, comment video requests below. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching.